I'm going to go back to court now. The jury is hearing from a new witness, Celeste Waltermeyer. She is the assistant principal of Timberline High School. Let's go back in.
Too far or too close, okay?
All right.
Were you employed by Timberline High School on October 18th of 2024?
Yes.
Were you working on that day?
No.
Okay. Do you know, are you familiar with the students at your high school?
I am.
Okay. Do you know a student by the name of Fatima?
Ew.
And how long have you known Fatima?
Since she started at this school, I believe she started the middle of her freshman year, and this was the beginning of her junior year in 2024.
So approximately 3 years, as you recall, or 2 years, give or take?
Yeah.
And are you familiar with another student? Do you know how long you've known Isaiah?
Since he started at Timberline High School.
Okay. Are you aware of anything of significance that occurred on October 18th, 2024, as it related to those two students at your high school?
I am aware that there was...
Just a yes or no?
Oh, yes.
Okay. And without repeating what you've heard, how did you become aware of these events?
Well, I was alerted on my phone originally that there was a lockdown at the school.
Okay. As the assistant principal, do you get those notices? Are you responsible for getting those notices when they come up?
Yes.
Okay. Based on your education, well, have you ever had experience with runaways at your school?
Yes.
Okay. Based on your education, training, and experience, are there situations where the school may not immediately notify law enforcement or immediately notify parents if contact with that child is made?
Yes, if the student has disclosed safety concerns, where we would notify CPS or notify law enforcement.
And does the school have staff or nonprofit assistance in such a case to potentially provide support to that student?
Yes.
Do you know if on October 18th, 2024, whether that student, Fatima Ali, was enrolled in your school?
Fatima was not enrolled in our school on October 18th.
And you indicated that she had previously been enrolled in your school. When had she become unenrolled at your school?
My recollection is it was the end of September. I believe it was like September 27th.
Okay. And about how long, well, was she still a student of the North Thurston School District?
Yes, she was. She had been at an online school.
What was the name of that online school, if you know?
Summit.
And do you know how her enrollment in the online school occurred? What was the process in getting her into that online school?
So, I believe it was September 17th or 18th. Mrs. Ali had met with North Thurston High School and or had her transfer to Fatima's transfer to North Thurston High School denied. And she reached out to appeal that to our assistant superintendent, Nikki Grubbs, who handles that. From that point, we worked with Mrs. Ali and the other schools to see where would be a good fit for Fatima. I was involved in those meetings as well as some other district and other high school staff.
And was Summit Online, as an educator, was that your first choice for Fatima?
No.
Whose choice was that?
That was one of the choices, but that was the choice that Mrs. Ali wanted for Fatima.
And you talked about that happening somewhere around, a request for that transfer occurring somewhere around September 17th or 18th. Are you familiar whether there was an incident at school prior to that regarding Mrs. Ali?
Yes, there was an incident prior to that regarding Mrs. Ali on September 16th.
Okay. And as a result, well, who, without relaying any details, who was that incident between Mrs. Ali with?
With Isaiah.
Incident with Isaiah. School or school district take any specific actions as a result?
As a result of that, I put in a no trespass with Mrs. Ali, and she was no longer allowed on at Timberline or North Thurston District.
Okay.
North Thurston.
All right, we're going to step aside here for a short break. When we come back, testimony in the attempted murder trial of Ihsan and Zahraa Ali continues with the assistant principal of Fatima's former high school. Keep it here on your front row seat to justice.
I'm Matt Johnson in Boise, Idaho, covering the sentencing for confessed killer Brian Koberger. This is Court TV, your front row seat to justice.
Death by strangulation happens in the time frame very quickly. 3 to 4 minutes of occlusion can cause death. So it doesn't take very long to occlude those veins and arteries to then cause death.
Welcome back to our special coverage of the attempted honor-killing trial of Ihsan and Zahraa Ali. I'm Michael Ayala. Testimony is underway in Washington State. Now, you just heard part of what child abuse pediatrician Dr. Joyce Gilbert testified to earlier today, saying death by strangulation can happen very quickly. Prosecutors say the two parents attacked their daughter Fatima at a school bus stop last year. The incident was caught on camera where the father appears to be choking the 17-year-old while other students tried to help save her. Fatima told the jury that she ran away from home that day because her parents were trying to send her to Iraq, and that she was afraid she was going to die after her father attacked her. Prosecutors are expected to rest their case tomorrow. Still on the stand right now for the state is Celeste Waltermeyer. She is the assistant principal of Timberline High School, where Fatima attended. Let's get you back into school.
Thurston school property.
Okay, North Thurston School District property.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. And do you recall whether that trespass notice was ever served on Mrs. Ali?
Yes, it was served to Mrs. Ali on September 17th.
And so if I understand, the incident happens on or about September 16th. The trespass order is served on or about the 17th, and the request for the transfer of Fatima happens somewhere around the 17th or the 18th, the same day. Is that correct? Or shortly thereafter?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recall, is at any point during this Fatima still going to school, or is she withdrawn from school?
Fatima was still attended school the 16th and 17th, and then did not show up the 18th or thereafter.
Was she withdrawn from school by her parents?
She was not in attendance. She eventually was withdrawn to go to Summit.
Okay. Do you recall when she was withdrawn?
I believe the transfer to Summit happened September 27th.
Okay. And during the course of your, well, let me back that up. Is there actually a withdrawal notice or form, so to speak?
Once a student is accepted into another North Thurston Public Schools school, It goes from one registrar to the other. So they just request that student come over, and then we all get notices about that, emails.
Okay.
The student has withdrawn emails.
Oh, okay. And during the course of your decision-making to have her go to the online school, were there any other decisions or any other alternatives or options made available?
Envision Career Academy was...
What is that?
It's one of our high schools. It's an alternative learning option. It's an in-person high school at has a smaller campus, and that was one, they had open enrollment at that time for Fatima, and two, Fatima does better in school and it's in person, by what she told us and what we thought would fit for her, and having her have access to adults we thought would be helpful to her during that time.
May I approach her?
You may.
Ms. Waltermeyer, I'm going to ask you to look at what's been marked as State's Exhibit 113 as well as what's been marked as State's Exhibit 121. Can you please look at those silently to yourself and then look up at me when you're done? And Ms. Waltermeyer, do you recognize what I've handed you?
Yes.
Okay, and what are those?
This is the no trespass order that I issued.
Okay, and State's Exhibit 113, you picked up a document, was that State's Exhibit 113?
Yes.
Okay, and that is a copy of the trespass order that you issued regarding Mrs. Ali from September 16th, is that correct?
Yes.
Is it the 16th or the 17th?
The incident happened on the 16th. We met on the 17th.
Okay, and is State's Exhibit 113 a true and accurate copy of the order that you issued?
Yes.
Okay. And I would like you to look at State's Exhibit 121 now. And when you look at State's Exhibit 121, aside from a reduction, is that a true and accurate copy of State's Exhibit 113?
Yes.
Okay. And based on those exhibits, well, how do you know that those exhibits are the trespass letters? I know it sounds like a silly question.
Because I have a copy, because that's my signature.
Okay, thank you. Your Honor, at this time, the state would move to admit State's Exhibit 113 and 121. Or excuse me, 121 only.
121 only. Mr. Kading?
No objection.
Mr. Larry?
No objection.
121 shall be admitted.
May I retrieve those, Your Honor?
You may.
I'm going to ask you some additional questions, Ms. Waltermeyer. You indicated that there was the incident on the 16th, is that correct?
Yes.
And regarding that incident, you issued this trespass letter, is that correct?
Yes.
And prior to issuing that trespass letter, do you do anything to confirm or corroborate that that trespass letter should be issued, meaning that there's a basis for issuing it?
Yes, I looked at video footage on September 16th.
Okay, thank you. And is that a decision you make? Is that a decision that the principal makes? How does that decision occur?
I made that decision
Okay.
to find the footage.
Okay. And when you made the decision to trespass Miss Ali, where was Miss Ali trespassed from? Where, what parts was she trespassed from?
Timberline High School, and in that letter it says all North Thurston public school properties.
And you indicated you had a meeting with her, is that correct?
I did.
Okay. And so how was that notice served on her? Can you describe how that meeting went? Without repeating anything anyone said to you, how did that meeting go? What does that look like?
We met in person that day, and so it was Mrs. Ali, Officer Howard, and I, and Haneen came in, the daughter.
Okay, and where did you meet?
In my office.
And you said initially, well, Mrs. Ali's daughter, do you know what Mrs. Ali's daughter's name is?
Haneen.
Okay. It's not a test.
Okay.
When Haneen came, was Haneen there at the beginning of the meeting, in the middle of the meeting, at the end of the meeting, or something else?
She was there towards the beginning of the meeting. We waited for Haneen to get there.
Okay. So
At mom's
initially,
request.
I'm sorry?
At Mrs. Ali's request.
All right, we're going to take a break here, and on the other side, the assistant principal describes her interaction with Zahraa and her other daughter, Haneen. Keep it here on your front row seat to justice.
He's her parent and he's bigger than you. Why didn't you just let him take her home?
Because he didn't want to take her home.
Tonight on Closing Arguments, we're live from Boise ahead of tomorrow's sentencing in the Idaho student murders case. Plus, 2 parents stand trial for trying to allegedly kill their own daughter.
Closing Arguments, coming up next, only on Court TV.
To the rescue workers, to the neighbors, and to our viewers across the country for turning their broken hearts into helping hands.
All right, before we head back to court, I want to quickly check in with our guest still with us to discuss, criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor Noah Hines. And Noah, I want to go to one of the questions from our folks watching on YouTube. This question comes from Judy. Judy, she asks, why didn't the boyfriend's family press charges? And Judy, quickly, I'll just tell you, and then I'll check in with you, Noah, that in fact, the charges against him were included in the charges for this case. It's sort of all melded together. There's a fourth degree assault charge regarding what happened with the boyfriend, Isaiah. That covers up to about a year in jail and involves causing physical harm or fear of harm or any offensive physical contact. So there are, in fact, charges involving his actions against Isaiah. No, I want to check in with you. Number one, on the severity of those charges. He was, in fact, or testified to, he was punched in the face. We did hear that there were some marks. He had a bump on his head. 4th degree assault, I was a little surprised it wasn't a little more serious. 1st or 2nd, maybe even 3rd degree assault.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's when you get into these assaults, it really kind of depends on what happened and what the damage was. So in Georgia, we would call that a battery. Battery is a misdemeanor. It's where you punch somebody or kick somebody or push somebody. Even if there's bruising, that's still a misdemeanor here in the state of Georgia. You know, you'd have to have some sort of malicious intent or permanent injury to make it a felony in a lot of states. So it really just kind of depends on the laws and how they're written. But really, you know, you're covering the conduct, and the conduct is the punching itself. It's the least of the worries of the defendant in this case because he's charged with something much more serious.
Yeah, no doubt about it. But the other thing I wanted to ask you about the boyfriend, his involvement at least was used by the defense attorneys in their opening statements as kind of being the impetus or cause of the seriousness of this whole thing. What does his involvement in this, between a father and her daughter, what effect does that have ultimately, you think, on this case?
Yeah, I think that's a bad defense in this case. You've got that video, Michael, that you've been showing, throughout our time together, and I'm sure that the prosecutor's been showing as much as possible. If you start focusing and blaming the boyfriend in this case, I think that's going to backfire into the defense personally. I just don't think it's a good defense in this case.
All right, fair enough.
It's not like the boyfriend's attacking the girl.
Yeah.
He's trying to protect her.
Yep, he's looking out for her.
So it goes right into the prosecution and against the defense.
Yep. And you got to counter in the fact that he's also been attacked by the mother at one point. So you got that too. All right. Stand by now. I want to get folks back into court now in that attempted murder trial of Ihsan and Zahraa Ali. Celeste Waltermeyer is still on the stand. She's on direct. Let's go back in.
And Officer Howard met in your office for that meeting. And then, if I understand your testimony, Haneen arrived later?
Yes.
Okay. And you waited based on mom's request, is that correct?
Yes.
While you were waiting for Haneen to arrive at Mrs. Ali's request, were you able to engage with Mrs. Ali?
Yes.
Okay. And how would you describe, without repeating anything anyone said, how would you describe the nature of that interaction?
Overall, the nature was good. She was telling us, communicating about an incident over the weekend.
Okay. Was that communication with you ongoing in English or something else?
In English.
Okay. Prior to Haneen arriving, had you provided her with the trespass letter? Or do you recall telling her what the meeting was about?
Yes, we did tell her what the meeting was about. We did present the trespass order, as I recall. That's what I recall. Officer Howard did ask if she wanted an interpreter, and she asked for Haneen instead. And so at that point, we paused to wait for Haneen, is my recollection.
Okay, so when you had that initial interaction, if I understand your testimony correctly, you offered her an interpreter and that was declined. Is that correct?
Yes.
When you say interpreter, what did that look like? Do you have Arabic interpreters in the school, or would you have used something else? What did that mean to you?
Officer Howard was going to use their language line, and the school district does have a language line, but Officer Howard was going to use theirs.
Okay. Did you feel prior to Haneen arriving you were able to communicate with Mrs. Ali?
Yes.
Did you communicate about one topic, several topics, no topics, or something else?
We communicated about the trespass. So we communicated...
Again, without relaying what that conversation is, just a number of different topics.
A number of different topics, yeah. We communicated about something over the weekend, and we talked about Fatima overall, like academics and how she was doing in school and some of Mom's concerns for Fatima.
So overall, there was a number of topic areas that you discussed, and all of that was in English. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then when Haneen arrives, what happens when Haneen arrives?
When Haneen arrives, we go over the trespass letter again. Haneen does relay the information to Mrs. Ali, and they talk back and forth. Mrs. Ali would ask questions, so would Haneen. Some of it went from Mrs. Ali in their native language to Haneen, and then Haneen would ask the question, or Haneen would clarify for Mrs. Ali.
Right. At any point during your interaction with Mrs. Ali, did she indicate she didn't understand the order?
No.
With Haneen present, did either Mrs. Ali or Haneen on behalf of Mrs. Ali communicate any clarifying questions about the order's parameters, meaning the limitations on that order?
I think that Mrs. Ali asked about pickup, and we talked about how Haneen could come and pick her up, or Mr. Ali could come and pick up the kids, but she was no longer allowed to be at school. But other than that, no.
Was she given an opportunity to ask questions about the order before Haneen arrived?
Yes.
And what about after Haneen arrived?
Yes.
And throughout this interaction, did she indicate whether she affirmatively understood the order itself?
Yes, she understood the order.
My question was whether she indicated she understood.
So I'll sustain that the answer was non-responsive. The question did not call for speculation.
So just listen to the question. Did Mrs. Ali indicate to you that she understood the order?
Yes.
And did you provide her, not just show her that order, but did you provide her with her own copy of that order as well?
Yes.
Okay. When you say that Haneen was present, Haneen came later, did you have then one conversation? Let me strike that. If I understand your testimony, it sounds like you talked about the trespass order before Haneen came, in part or in full, and then talked about it again when Haneen got there. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And that order, the copy of that order, was that presented when Haneen was present?
Yes.
May I publish 121, please, Your Honor?
You may.
And Mrs. Waltermeyer, can you tell the jury what we're looking at on State's Exhibit 121? First of all, what's at the top of that page as you're looking at it on the screen?
That is the North Thurston Public Schools symbol. I can't think of the right word for it. And it's our letterhead.
And do you recognize the third name down on the upper right-hand side?
Yes.
Whose name is that, ma'am?
That is my name.
Okay. And underneath of all of the names, what is indicated there as to where this is being generated from?
Timberline High School.
Okay. Is there a date associated with this letter?
2 dates, yes. September 17th.
And what date is September 17th indicated up here? What is that intended to indicate?
The day that it was issued.
Okay. And who is it issued to?
Zahraa Ali.